Have you ever grown Stromanthes? They are a joy. They are a beauty. Let me introduce you to my Stromanthe plant. Hey, I'm Elise. I'm glad you stopped by the gardens today. I've been out cleaning up a little bit around the Stromanthe. I have been really surprised. I haven't been able to find very much information on the internet for growing this plant outside. Lots of information about growing it inside as a house plant. Now, I've never grown it inside as a house plant, so I have no experience. But I have been growing this one for quite a while. So some of the names are Stromanthe sanguinea, Triostar, Tricolor, Prayer Plant, Calithea, and many more. Actually, the powers to be, the folks who named the plant, has renamed this a couple of times. Now, this is in the great big order Syngiboralis. That's the same order that has cannas, birds of paradise, spiral gingers, arrowroot, plants like that. And in fact, this plant often gets mistaken as a ginger. And one of the common names is tricolor ginger, but it's not a ginger. This is in its own family, Maranthaceae, and the genus is Stromanthe. This particular version is sanguinea, and I'll show you why in just a moment. Now, it's a tropical plant. It's hardy outside in zones 9 through 11, or you can grow them inside as houseplants. There's 18 to 21 varieties of this particular genus. Really nice, pretty, gorgeous plant. I've been growing it for a couple of years, and what I did, I looked up to see where the plant was native to. Well, it's native to Brazil, and in that area, it grows on the rainforest floors. So any time if you have a plant that you aren't sure what your growing conditions should be, look up, see where it's native to, how it grows in its native habitat, and then try to emulate that native habitat. And that's what I did here. Now, to me, a rainforest means humidity, indirect bright light, shade, things like that, moisture. So I put this out on the side under some trees where it's humid. It gets bright indirect light. Sometimes during the year it will get a little more direct sun. The trees are deciduous, and as the sun moves over the tops of the trees, the lighting will change. But that's the best way I have found to do it. Also, if you're new to the plant and you aren't sure where you want to put it in a container first. Set the container where you think you might want to eventually plant the plant. Leave it there for a while. In fact, you might have to leave it there all year so it can experience all the seasons of your planting zone. If it does well, then you know you can plant it out there. If it starts stressing or struggling, you can move it to another location. That's the easiest way, not to have to put your plant in, dig it up, put your plant in, dig it up, to find a place that it's happy in. So this plant is really happy here. Now, this is a little cluster of plants. There's several in here. I don't even know for sure how many is in here now. I think I started off with 4, but I'm not 100% positive. They do grow on rhizomes, so they can multiply by themselves. But look at these blooms. Isn't this gorgeous? Now, the little white flowers is the blossom itself. All the red around it is that bract, B-R-A-C-T. And like gingers have the bracts. And let me pull these leaves up so you can see the growth formation. Isn't that neat? Comes up on one single stem, splits off into various parts. And then you have leaves, and then you have, I'm going to take that off if I can so we can see a little better. Puts the leaves out, and then it puts the blossoms out. Gorgeous. Now, I really can't discern any amount of fragrance, but I have seen pollinators out here, so they're happy with it. It puts up a really long stem, longer than the plant itself. And here's a new little plant down there. I might come back and dig that one up. So it's going to be an offshoot of the rhizome from the mother plant. but loads of little blossoms. And I have noticed that all the leaves that come up from this main stem and have blossoms on it, on bracts and flowers, are a little different color. They don't have quite this duration, and they're a little paler, but the the back does have that pink. So I think these leaves are a characteristic of the type of leaf that comes out with the bract. Now this one is picking up the striations now, or the variegated. Look at that back. Isn't that pretty? But really nice. The plant out in the wild or in your landscape can actually get to 4, 5, even 6 feet tall. I don't know about inside, nor do I know if it's going to bloom this prolifically inside. Sometimes the plants don't bloom quite as much inside. Other times they do. It just depends upon the plant. So if you're growing this outside and you start seeing a little brown off, if it's brown on the tips, it usually means it's not humid enough. If it's brown along the edges, normally it means it's not getting enough shade. The sun is scalding it a little bit. If you have this in too much sun, it will scald. If you have it in too much shade, it might lose some of the coloration. So you have to find that little happy balance. And look at the size of these leaves. These leaves are over a foot tall. This is why it's called sanguina, this beautiful blood red backing. Every leaf is a little bit different. And here is another little plant. I might take that one up too. Wow, so there are numerous plants in here. I'd like to start another little colony because they are so pretty. But they're doing good here. Now we're just coming out of, well, here in Zone 9B, I won't say we're coming out of winter because we've been hot for a little while. And in fact, we've already had 90-degree days. And it's really hot, really humid, which they love. So I'm going to come out, maybe clean them up a little bit more, give them some fertilizer. I really don't fertilize them a lot. Not anything like it is recommended because since I grow them outside, they're underneath trees, they get all the leaf droppings. But I'm going to give them a little DIY natural fertilizer. Make sure they're watered really, really good. So a little TLC for this beautiful plant. I could not find any edible or medicinal properties for the plant. Again, this is not a ginger. It is in the same order as gingers, but completely different plant. Since I haven't been able to find lots of information on the internet on how to grow these outside, I'm just going to keep myself a little plant journal on this particular group of plants. Like, are these leaves going to regain or obtain some variegation? Things like that. I think that's interesting. And when all the blossoms finish, should I go back and cut this big stem back all the way back? Or is it going to die back on its own? See, things like that is what I like. Now, observation is one of the best things that we as gardeners can use. It helps us understand the plant a little bit and helps us to grow the plant a little bit better. All right, I'm going to pull a plant up so we can see what the rhizomes look like. I decided to go ahead and dig up this little plant that came off of these Stromanthe rhizomes. The easiest thing to do when you're digging up plants from rhizomes is to take your shovel and go all the way around the plant first. And this will take care of any rhizomes that might still be connected to the mother plant. Now we're in kind of close quarters here, and there's roots from some of the trees. But it should be fairly easy to go ahead and dig the rhizome up. Almost there. And always have a pair of clippers handy in case you need to clip the rhizome. And this one's coming up pretty good. There we go. That's it. I'm going to pick this up now, and we're going to go ahead and take it over to the planting platform, and I'll show you what the rhizome looks like. Well, getting the plant up was very easy. And again, always remember, if you're going to dig up plants in clumps that grow in rhizomes, if you can, it is easy just to take your shovel and go around and go down. That way you're cutting any existing rhizomes. Have your clippers ready though in case you need them. This plant, Stromanthe, actually grows on a very small rhizome. If you have something like shell gingers, a big clump of adult shell gingers, their rhizomes can be a couple of feet long. Little bit of difference. All right, nice little root system. And here is the rhizome. Small rhizome, and it has a new growth coming out, so that's nice. It looks a little worn, but we've been in drought or semi-drought for several weeks now. Still no rain in the forecast. I've got a little gallon-sized pot here. I'm just going to scoop me out a depression, spread the roots out. Now I am planting this a little bit deeper than I normally do. And the reason being, I can't talk and plant at the same time, obviously, right? All right. The reason being is, since we are so dry, the closer to the top the rhizome is, that top surface of soil dries out the fastest. So I put it a little bit deeper. Normally I would say don't plant rhizomes really deep. But this is a good, soft, well-draining soil. Now I'm going to come back and backfill this even just a little bit more. Make sure all of your roots are in and covered. Make sure that rhizome is covered. And that's how easy it is. Nice looking little plant, isn't it? For really a little bit of effort. Now, there's a couple more small ones around that big cluster, and I might go ahead and remove them. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep them in containers or if I'm going to go ahead and plant another little mass bed somewhere. Little handful of soil to backfill just a little bit more. You can tell that my soil is out underneath an oak tree. I always have oak leaves and little bits and pieces of debris, but that's okay. This plant is used to that. Gently water. This will give the soil time to sink down some, and then I can come back and actually backfill just a little bit more. If you gently water, that gives the soil time to sink down gradually and close in any gaps around your roots or the base of your plant. Really nice little plant. It only took a few minutes. One of the names is prayer plant, and it's because the leaves fold up at night. And this one, the leaves are beginning to fold up, which really gives you more exposure to these beautiful, bright, blood red backs of the leaves. But that's all there is to it. I'm going to let this sit a little bit. I may come back and backfill just a little bit more, and then I will go ahead and water some more. I'm not going to let this dry out. I don't want it to be a soggy, moist soil, but I do want it to be damp and stay slightly damp. Also, what I will probably do is come out and make up a little mixture of about a tablespoon of Epsom salts to a gallon of water. And again, gently pour that in, giving it time to soak in some. Epsom salts is high in magnesium. It will help with the transplant shock. This is going to go into indirect light, kind of shady. I don't want it to experience any sun right now. Sun will put stress on your new pottings, new seedlings, new seed, anything like that. You don't always want to put them in direct sun, but you know, there's always exceptions. But isn't that pretty? Stromanthe Triostar sanguina. I hope this is something that you can put in your landscape. Beautiful plant. It always gets loads of oohs and ahs when people see it. Till we speak again, you have a fantastic day.